Not watching TV.
So my doctor caught on and actually called my wife and said, basically telling her I had a problem. And at that time, the habit I had, I'd probably be doing 10 to 15 Percocets a day. And if I had the Oxycontin, maybe one or two 30 or 40 milligrams a day. That was like my habit. So getting cut off left me kind of with no choice but to circumvent. I still had the medical things in place where I knew if I had to take a drug test, I would be fine because it's the same class as the Percocet. But I had to find a way now to supply my habit, because now at this time I know I need it, because I'd go through total withdrawal if I didn't have the pills. So I started contacting a friend down here who would mail me Oxycontin through the mail. And at the time, mid-2000s, this was the beginning of the Florida opioid epidemic. So every Tom, Dick, and Harry who went to a pain clinic was getting prescribed oxys like crazy. The prices were range from $4 to $8 a pill, 8 on the high end. So I was probably, doing, just for the mail, just for the courtesy, I was probably paying 8, so I was getting about 30 at a time. And that would, I was doing 2 a day. So I would have to re-up probably every 15 days. But the thing, with anything in pills is, especially I was drinking on top, you get accustomed so quickly. Like your tolerance, like I said, remember at first I was doing, Percocet, 15 perks a day. And then all of a sudden a friend goes, oh yeah, just try this little sliver of Oxycontin, snort it. And you're just like, I get the same feeling as taking 15. So, it's just, you're dealing with a cost-effective measure at that point. Well, I could, get in these 15 perks, or I could just take one Oxycontin, and that would, equal all that. And the perks I was taking were the 5 milligram, 255 or whatever, 525. So it was only 5 milligrams compared to an oxy, which was 30 or 40 milligrams. So you almost had to take 10 perks for the one pill. And so we go on the trip, and I still had a little stash, and kind of slowly not weaning down, but just kind of maintaining, I would say, because I had to get my contact to mail me the pills, send the money, overnight the money, and stuff like that. And while the time getting back into the military groove, like I said, my staff sergeant was going to be like, hey, we're going to have to drop you to a different battalion, and if you won't heal in time. So I started, getting back in the rhythm, and it was really rough. I was out of shape, just basically taking pills and drinking and playing video games and doing whatever. So, and in the military exercises, they're very high intense. So I kind of maintained the habit up until my second deployment. And we were leaving in September. Our new orders, we were going to deploy to Ramadi.
What year was that?
That was in 2008.
Okay.
So and we knew we were going to be over there during the election. So that was the election with Romney and Obama, and I believe, or was it McCain and Obama? Anyway, it was Obama. Obama, the one that Obama won the first time. So we knew that it was depending who won, we would be either staying longer or getting home, because that was one of the campaign promises by Obama, was he would bring everybody home. So we deploy to Ramadi, and kind of the same thing as the first time. You go to Cherry Hill, you fly out, you go to like Maine, then you fly over to Ireland and Iceland, and the plane ride, you come flying in. And to be honest, the only thing I still had a little bit left for the flight. You know, I kind of was like, okay, I have enough to get over there, and then when I'm over there, I can withdraw myself because I'll be so active, I just wouldn't have time. So I think I could. It's weird. I can remember all the stuff over the first time going over. I can remember every step. Like the second time's really hazy because I was just fucked up the whole time. The most notable thing I can remember is being like over the Atlantic because we fly commercial. And the turbulence, and I'm a bad flyer. The turbulence, but I was so high, I didn't give a fuck. And we were over the Atlantic, and we're just like slamming. Even the stewardesses were like, "Oh shit, this is rough turbulence." But we were fine. We came out, same thing. Get back into Kuwait, and stay there for a few, and then fly into TQ, and then go to Ramadi. So we went to Camp Ramadi. And our mission was a little bit different this time. We were actually called Task Force 29. We were attached to a unit out of 29 Palms.
Okay.
And so it was like a desert unit. They're based in the desert, and we do a lot of training out there and doing workups. You'll go out. They call it CAX. Combined hour exercise, where you work with the team basically you're deploying with. It's all the air, the arty, the tracks, the infantry, you all work together. So you go over there, you know who you're working with. So at this point of the war, like it was definitely a big drastic change since from the beginning. We were actually we were housed at Camp Ramadi was an old prison. It was Saddam. It was an old prison where they torture people and stuff. Actually, those were our billets. That's where we stayed in these squad bays. So it was like really crazy, and it's kind of an eerie feeling. It's like almost like you've been there. Obviously, it's been there before, but like it's more deeper than that. If that sounds, but throughout history. There's been conflict in that area since the beginning of man. That's the birthplace of mankind, essentially. That's what they think. But you do have a connection there. So it's very wild. So our mission was we were setting up. They set up some checkpoints around the city of Ramadi, and I want to say there were 6 checkpoints. So it was like a ring. You could pass one checkpoint, go to another, then you pass another, until you get in the city. Then there was final one. I was housed at the final checkpoint. So the thinking is the first checkpoint, the outermost, are going to get the most action, just because it's like if you picture it like a filter. All the stuff is hopefully going to get caught before it reaches you, and you just deal with some low level. Okay. Contraband or whatever. So initially, it was a little bit of a shock because we were in these little outposts. It was in my first deployment, we were in that outpost Viking. It was about a quarter size of that. It was very small. It was probably the size, maybe a quarter of an acre wise, like just size. Like it was, and it was like on a corner by the. The Euphrates River, and then they had a police station, and it was a checkpoint. So we are actually housed with the Iraqi police at first. I did not like that because you can't trust them. And when we get there and we get briefed, briefings all the time, no matter where you go. They said they had a picture of all the high level agents in the area to be on lookout, and one of them was the police chief we were working with.
He was wanted?
Across the way. He was a known agitator. Yeah, but we were working with him. They're just like, the thinking was he was playing both sides. Yeah. So it was when we were working with him, but they were like, okay, well he's here, and we know what's going on, but who knows, So so initially, so we would set up in these guard towers, and there was 4 of them. So there was basically 2 near the search lanes and the entry points to the checkpoint, and then there was 2 back ones to do like side securities and watch cars pull around. So you could look at it kind of like a diamond, how it was shaped. It was like that, the outposts. So the front 2 were relegated to people who either, veterans who were in Iraq and speak a little bit of Arabic, and just really good, just communicating, because we also actually had interpreters with us too. So we had to communicate stuff to like because we're training them, because they're about to take over their country. They don't know this, but we do. Yeah. So it's more of a hands-off approach. And there was actually a threat of, they were like, there's kind of a civil war going on, so you gotta basically stay out of it unless they're like directly attacking you, which is such a weird thing. Marines aren't used as like soldiers. We're not soldiers, we're Marines. We go in, our duty is to fight. Yeah. We fight. We're not occupiers. So, but we're like, our mission was being like an occupier. So you're telling Marines who've been training, shoot, kill, kill, and all this other shit, and they're like, oh yeah, don't fire on the enemy unless they're actually pointing the gun at you and firing. So it's like that messes with you. So because then you see more of the political side of the war, and and like we would go, take R&R back at the camp sometimes, or have to go back to the main camp to resupply, get food, whatever, mail, and we take convoy. And before, like I said, the first deployment, you have the traffic backed up, nobody's near you. If they come near you, you can blast them. This, you're driving in traffic. So, being, it's like at first you're just like, V-bed's going to come in and, get us. And it's happened. But, yeah, you're just like, I guess this is the way. You can't shoot. I mean, you could tell people, like, back up. But they don't listen, man. Yeah. So that was a big culture shock. Or not culture shock, a shock. Just because the deployments were so different. And even, the young guys that we took under our wing, that this was their first deployment, they hear the whole stories, all of Fallujah and stuff, and then they're just like, oh, this, like, kind of like, this ain't nothing. So, anyways, so the second deployment, there wasn't much worthy in regards to fighting. There was a couple incidences. One of the outposts that I was not at, two of my junior Marines, who I became good friends with, they were in a different outpost. They had these search lanes, so a car would pull up. Let's say there are 3 lanes, and they have concrete barriers, and then you have the entry point for people to go in. They were checking, and there was a diversionary explosion. There was a car bomb in one of the search lanes, so it diverted everybody's attention there. And at the same time, a suicide bomber came in with a suicide vest with ball bearings and blew himself up. And 2 of my friends got hit and had to get medevaced. One, he was a really handsome kid. I don't want to say his name, but really, handsome, all-American, wrestling body type, really good looking, got his face shredded. And the other Marine, he was a good dude as well, got his arm totally messed up. All the shrapnel in his arm messed up some nerve damage and stuff. So they had to be medevaced. So when we heard that, we were definitely worried, because, when something goes like that, like I said, they cut the communications. So you don't know. And, families, like, this is a time when you go back on the computers, email, Facebook, MySpace, and all that, families are like, oh, what's going on? I heard, have you heard? And you're just like, I can't say anything. I can say he's okay. Yeah. But, we honestly didn't know initially, and then until I talked to my buddies, they were messed up severely, but they were okay. There was a notable time. So the checkpoints, it was like, they would close down at certain times. I want to say let's say they closed down at 7 o'clock at night. I think it was a little bit earlier, but let's say 7 o'clock, from 8 to 7. And so no traffic would come through unless it was emergency or whatever. So one notable night, everybody's just kind of. I usually did the big shift. It was 12 hours. I would do the 8 to 8 shift, which because I was really good with talking with the interpreter and the police and directing traffic, just keeping everything calm and orderly. So we saw a vehicle coming in, just careening. It was an ambulance. So we were worried about the V-bed threat, like I said before, of them coming into our compound and blowing us up. So really quickly, I was operating one of the forward posts. My staff sergeant goes, "Hey, you need to go stop that vehicle. It's coming in hot." So, like I said, the checkpoint was all closed. So I go running down, running through, hopping barriers, these concrete barriers, trying to stop this vehicle. Shining my light, stop, thinking to myself, am I going to have to shoot the driver, doing all this other stuff. Thankfully, they stopped right in the middle of checkpoint, and it's just the moment of truth. So it's either going to blow up or it's just going to be some dumb Iraqi idiot. I open the door, and there's this kid literally being, worked on. He was heavily bleeding. I believe it looked like a gunshot. It looked like he was on its last leg. I didn't want to take any more of the time, and because the hospital was right past our checkpoint. So I said, "Close the door. Go, go, go." The driver's like, "Go." I'm like, "Go, go, go." And he goes, and staff sergeant comes over. He's like, "What happened? Why'd you let that go? Why didn't you search it?" I'm like, "Look, there was a kid shot. He looked on death's door. I just let him go." And he was like, oh, okay. He kind of gave me a little shit, but he was like, "I trust your judgment." So they go through, and to back up, getting to Iraq, I maybe had a few more days of my stash left of OxyContin. And I try to space it out as much as I can so it wouldn't be as bad as a withdrawal, kind of wean myself down. And while doing this, I'm working, getting the outpost ready, working. So I was actually constantly busy, and but definitely got withdrawal. But what kind of gave me a good cover, which this is funny, was everybody kind of got sick too at the same time. One outpost, they all got dysentery. They were all like crapping their brains out because when the Iraqi police cooked them a meal, cooked them a meal, but they used the water from the river, and that water's so dirty, and everybody got sick. They got sick. We didn't get the meal, but usually when you get a country, you get sick because it's just different environment, people, germs, whatever, different living conditions. Because in the military, that's why you clean so much, is just so for hygienic purposes. Yeah. So. And so the outpost, like where we're situated, luckily downstairs was right the porta potty, and and it was at night, and I had to go to take, I had diarrhea every 10 minutes, had to go, and it was just agony. I was like so sick from withdrawals. But under the cover, I told my doctor, the naval doc, I was like, "Oh man, I think I'm sick, from whatever's going around, And he's like, "Oh, okay." So I actually got bed rest for like a day. Like they were just like, "Oh," because I did have because when you withdraw, it's like you're having a flu. You get fever, you're hot, cold, you're sweaty, cold sweats, you're shitting. So I tell the doctor these symptoms, but obviously they leave the power off. Oh yeah, I was abusing drugs this whole time. So he's just like, "Oh, just bed rest for like a day, and you should be good." And yeah, that day, I guess because you're just so active, you're just getting it, pushing it all out. You're wearing all this gear, and so I get it all out, and I start to feel better, and I start getting back on my routine like I did the first time, lifting a lot of weights and not obviously I couldn't get anything. I was clean until later, which I'll explain. So. Like I said, there was a couple more notable incidences where, my biggest fear was a V-bed attack or IED or suicide bomber. Those were always the big things. So now in the outpost where it was situated, it was by a road, from the city, but it was there was this back lot and had a lot of dirt and stuff. They used it, for construction or whatever. So they, one day, I was on the back side of the compound, so I'm facing towards the city, towards in the circle. So I was facing in, and a truck, see this big truck I never seen, starts to come in, and just starts pulling in, and my staff sergeant came up just to do a check, inspection. And the protocols at the time were you had a machine gun right here. I think in that one we had a 240 Golf. It's 7.62, a belt-fed machine gun, and then you obviously have your personal rifle. So the protocol at the time was like you had to wave but you're in this, you're like in a case, so it's very hard to see too. Is you have to wave a flag, then you deploy a flare, then a warning shot, then you have to fire. So you got to go through all this shit in like a span of, but when you're on the outpost, you kind of prepare your mind, like, how am I going to do this? So, like I said, so at the time the truck comes in, I literally push the sandbag, I wave the flag, at the same time I grab the flare, I pop the flare. When I pop the flare, I immediately get on the gun. And my staff sergeant, it happens that. Yeah. And he's just like, he was like already like just trying to wave the flag. And I get on the gun and I like rack it and I'm just ready to go. Thank God that fucking the driver stops and like gets out and like just stands there. And this, my staff sergeant radios like, hey, go check, because I thought like he was just going to ram us or, blow us up, because that's your biggest fear. And there was no clearance or anything. So the team goes out and goes talk to him for a while. And, they're speaking, whatever. And then he gets back in the truck and everybody comes in. He's like, oh, he's a contractor. Like the government sent him to pick up a dirt pile. But nobody called us. So we could have just smoked this dude. Oh. And it would have been picking up dirt. But there's no communication. So... yeah, and I would have like killed this guy. But though I went like, and so you have to do an after action report. And the staff sergeant was like, you did everything right. You did all the ROEs, and he was like, yeah, you were very quick, because like I put like I said, push sandbag, boom, 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 like then on the gun, because you're always replaying the training, just do it. So that was a close call, and during this time too, my home life was suffering. My wife back home, we weren't getting along, and then this is stuff, this is communicated through Facebook and phone when I'm talking. She's like, yeah, I talk with my parents and, they say I should divorce you, like that, like saying like that. And I'm over, and you're over there and it's like, well, thanks, this is all I need. So, but, it happens more than often. So, I'm just like, well, I was like, I don't want to, but if that, that's your choice, but I prefer to stay in the marriage. And so I'm dealing with that, but, it's like a kind of wishy-washy answer. There's no like, oh, yeah, it's like, and it's very stressful, especially when you're young, being married.
How old were you at that time?
I was 22. So
and you already been through all this.
Yeah, and I already had a deployment. I turned 21 in my first deployment in Iraq. Yeah. So, I'm 22 now on my second deployment. And my wife, she was a little bit older than me. But it's just and like I said, like we knew each other in such a short amount of months, and then deploying, then coming back, and then she's like, oh, you're different, you're all this, you're angry, you're drinking, we both drank. So then the substance abuse, it just piles up. And then she was just like, well, this is not what I want. This is what I think I wanted in my mind. I'm just like, well, you took vows. But anyways, but like I said, she had a lot of stuff in her life too. And, we had a lot of disagreements on what to do after. Yeah. Like, oh, do we move back to her or move back here in Florida? And she wanted to move back home, and I was like, yeah, okay, okay. And so over there, you're dealing with a lot of things like that. You're dealing with people's problems on the home front, and then you're trying to deal with your job and stuff. So later, I said there was interpreters on the on our outpost. There was 2 of them, and the one, he was a really pretty good dude. The other one, I don't know. I think he was kind of playing both sides. So the one though, you talk a lot, and then you pick up the language so fast because you're just always around. It's with anything. You just pick it up really quick how to talk to people. Certain phrases, certain sayings, and we wanted to get fucked up. So we were always like, hey, can we get booze? Ask the police if we can get booze. We'll pay them. And they're like, we can't really get alcohol. It's because it's a dry country. It was a Muslim country. So, but I later found out some guys at other outposts, they could get like whiskey and shit. So we were just like always thinking like, oh, what can we get? But because there's a language, so the interpreter's got to interpret, certain slang and certain things. And like one day I was like, hey, ask them if they can get painkillers, just to see, if I could. And they were like, he was like, painkiller? He's like, what is that? Because they don't have a direct, painkiller. It might sound literal, like what's a painkiller? I was like, well, and I was like trying to think. I'm like, narcotic. I was like, not narcotic, but like, and I'm like thinking medical terms because medical terms are universal. With doctors, I'm like, okay, try anglesic because anglesic is like things that kill pain. And he's like, okay. And he asked the cops, and the cop's like, oh yeah, sure, I can get it. He's like, $20. So we had a big camera on our outposts, who are usually, our staff sergeant rarely came up on post unless he was doing inspection. So, but he could look and usually would have it trained on the lanes. But we had a system set if we were doing something, like we weren't supposed to, or, we needed to, we would say, we heard gunshots to our 11 o'clock. And then, that would key up in the staff sergeant's mind, like, oh, I want to go look. So they would go, and I'm like, yeah, I think it was kind of far. I think I've seen something over there. So they would like zoom in because it takes a while to like zoom back out. But it would give us enough diversion area so we do our dirty shit in the lanes. So, I was like, wait, and I could see the camera when it moved. And my buddy in the COC would have we have code word like, roger that, Wilco check. That means you're good. And so we did the transaction. I see like them bringing this like pallet of drinks, and I'm like, what is he bringing over? And we do the exchange downstairs and come back. One of my friends comes back up and shows me it was a case of codeine, like purple codeine, and I'm like, oh shit. This is, I thought they were going to give some, because it was a risk. You don't know what you get. But it was glass bottle codeine, purple codeine, which now they would be worth like a lot of money. But we were like, oh, we scored. So I was like, hey, tell my buddy, go stash it. We'll pop it open. Yeah, for $20, $20, a case of codeine. So we go. So I get off my shift. I excitedly go, and they're already drinking. Each of them have a fucking, I want to say in the case it was like 18 bottles for $20 in this case, and I pop open one and I'm drinking it, and it's not like taking an oxy, but it's nice. It's a codeine. You start listening to music, and so we could get it. Now we knew we could get it, and it was all over. So we would get we divvy up the bottles. And then we had to like properly dispose because they could always go through the trash and be like, who's drinking all this codeine? Where this codeine coming from? So we had a system where properly dispose the bottles and stuff. Like when I was usually on the party to go to Camp Fallujah to do runs, I would usually take the bottles with me and dispose it there because then it would be, and I would put it like in a random trash bin so nobody could trace it to you. So we got a hold of that. And at this time, Obama won. So we knew we were going to, it was a short deployment. We got there, I think it's September, October, November, December. It was about a 4 or 5 month deployment. And we were coming home. So we spent Christmas there, and we were coming home in January. But the Iraqis didn't know. So, but they, obviously with anything, rumors go around. And the interpreters, we got a date. I think we were going to pull out, I want to say it was January. I want to say it was either February or January 14th. That date sticks out in my mind for some reason. And the interpreters, they were worried because if we leave, they've been working with the Americans, they could get whacked or, they're having problems. because a lot of them, they'll work with the U.S. Like the one interpreter was working since the beginning of the war, so he was trying to get like a visa.
Sides,
yeah, he was trying to get like a visa in, for doing work.
Didn't get one.
Oh no, I don't know, but he was trying. He said he already got some process. Like he probably was going to go to Maryland or something. But they were constantly worrying. They would ask, but you can't share information like that. That's sensitive. And so I was always like, I kind of feel fucked up about this. But when the one guy, Jerry was his name. He was always like, oh, I hear they're gonna leave. You all are just gonna pull out and on the 14th. I was like, Jerry, you think we're going to be here all this time and just pull out and not do anything? Come on, doesn't that sound silly? Like playing it off.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, Jerry, think about this logically. We spent all this time and money in this war. Are we just going to just say peace and just leave?
So
He's like, well, no. And I'm like, all right, I got him. Now, because it's OPSEC. You can't just be like, nope, can't tell you. You just got to be like, you play it cool. You don't want to be like, no. I can't tell you anything, then they'll just constantly hound you. So I was just like, look, man, we ain't leaving. Like, that's silly. That's silly talk. So sure as shit, that date comes, and that night it was like let's bounce, dude. There that one night they just pulled in. They were like, load everything up, and by the morning, so we're gonna leave. So we basically loaded up. We called the police over. We said, here's the keys to the compound. See you later. We're leaving. And we just go back to Camp Ramadi, and we basically wait until we're coming back home.
Did you guys ever stumble on any other drugs out there?
No,
like
man. I heard a couple guys got some hash, but the big thing was whiskey, and the whiskey too. They came in a bottle with a cup, and it was like wrapped, and you actually had a cup with it. A lot of guys drank that because a lot of people in the military drink. So some of my buddies were like full blown alcoholics, so they would get that. But we were getting that codeine. We were getting $20 case constantly, and so we're get back to Camp Ramadi, and before. I was actually drinking on, which I shouldn't have been doing, but I was drinking on post one day, the codeine, just take the little edge off. And we had a surprise visit from the battalion fucking captain, or the company captain and the first sergeant, the big head honchos, they came to the post. I had to report to them. I was like, try to be like straight and just be like, I hope they didn't like do like some crazy like uniform check or what, because I had a drop pouch. And I put the bottle down there because you could tie it. But if you physically reached in, you would feel it. And then he'd be like, oh, what's this? And I was just like, oh, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir, yes, First Sergeant. Just trying to just play it straight, like I'm doing my duty, And then they left. I'm like, oh, thank God, So, but yeah, nobody ever caught on, that nobody found out, caught on. But yeah, we were drinking, a lot of us were drinking just straight up
Were you
Coke.
relieved to come home, or did you like...
It's like bittersweet because it's like, it's like I'm coming home, but I know I got a lot of shit, especially like with the relationship deteriorating. I didn't know what was going to happen. Am I going to have to stay in the barracks? Because I had a house and everything.
It's kind of like why some people like jail, because
because you don't have to do it. Yeah, it's just simple. Yeah,
in a weird way.
Institutionalization is a real thing.
Yeah.
So like coming home, like she was very standoffish. I tried to like play it off like we were fine, but she was kind of standoffish. And then, like I was at home more. She kind of warmed back up, and we're like, well, let's make it work. But then coming back home, kind of like the first time, I wasn't good. Even though I was drinking codeine, I was still in pretty, back great physically in shape, and she, was like, yeah, let's make it work, and blah, blah, blah. And we're going through, coming back home and, thinking what I'm going to do. They were talking about giving me a meritorious promotion to be an NCO and, do this. They were trying to talk me into staying in. I'm just like, man, I just want to get out. And then, coming home, it was just on and off with the relationship. And I started kind of getting more into depression, or just not knowing what was day to day. I was miserable. I wanted to get out as soon as I could. I started, actually, a couple guys in my battalion started getting cocaine, and I would get some from them, and I never even did coke before. Like, I never experimented with it or anything. I was just like, whatever. I don't give a shit. Just give me whatever. And then fucking, and like I said, everything back now, everything was kind of pulling the nose up, and then we get into a big fight, and boom, it was just like, she didn't want nothing to do with me.
That was the last
And then I got caught. I got actually piss tested, and I showed up dirty for cocaine, and that got me in trouble. And so I literally had a meritorious promotion that just went out the window. My first lieutenant, thank God, kind of for him, he stood. I give him respect because he stood up for me. He was like, because he deployed with me. He was like, he's a good Marine. He worked hard. Look, he had a meritorious promotion. He just has a bad home life, and he's always struggled. He really stood up for me during my punishment hearing, and just at least give him the chance to get out. Don't just kick him out. So they sent me to the brig for 30 days. Got out at 28 because of good behavior. That was like a day camp for adults. They said it's fun, but it ain't real fun. It's like being in boot camp, but it's just adult day camp.
Do they yell at you?
No, not really. Like initially initially they do, but it's a game. It's a big game. So you just do what you're told. It's like anything. Do what you're told, So I spent 28 days there. My family found out. My dad. That was really heartbreaking. It was almost bringing like dishonor to the family. Because
he was already skeptical of you going into.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we were really close. I told him honestly what happened. Yeah. I was like, look, he knows. Okay, he knows I wasn't in a good place. Yeah. So, my first sergeant actually personally called my dad and was like, he was good. He is a good Marine. He just, fucked up and he got caught. Like he personally called him and told him that. And so that, and they decided they are basically, I served my time. She left. She sold the house. She went down because she found out as well. Didn't want anything to do with me. And I moved back into the barracks. And to say, it was actually one of the funner times of my life, because then now you don't have nobody expects anything from you. So it's just like party, all the time. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You're getting out too, so it doesn't matter. And because thank God they were letting me stay. They were letting me stay, because I had a buddy too he was one of 3 dudes that got caught just smoking. He popped on for weed, and everybody vouched for him. Like, he's a good Marine. He just one fuck up. It shouldn't. Yeah. The other 2 got kicked out, but he got saved. And so that's like my lieutenant's vouch for me really saved me as well, because he was just like, because even in his initial report, he was like, he should be punished. And then the captain who was doing my case was like, do you still believe that? And the lieutenant, he was such a good dude, man. I can't say that enough, because he could have been like, yeah, he's a piece of shit, wipe the hands, which normally people do. But he was like, no, he's like, yeah, he's like, I agree, he should be punished, but don't let this one, he's done 2 tours exemplarily. Yeah. Don't let him, this one fuck up. But maybe I needed that as a, wake up. Like, you can't be just doing shit when you want to. No. So.
So did you stop doing stuff after that?
No, like I said, nobody. I was just more smart about it. Like, I wasn't, because like when I was doing the coke, I was doing it like every day, So, but now I was like, okay, if I do it on a Friday, it would be out of my system by Monday if they decided to drug test me. There was another one call where I I did smoke like a little weed on a weekend, and they went to drug test me, and one of my corporals, because they'll physically like stand and watch your dick to pee. And I'm not going to mention his name, but a corporal who was doing the test, I was like, dude, you got to fucking help me out, bro. I smoked. Like, I ain't going to lie. And, if I get this, I'm fucked. I was like, I know it's my fault, but can you basically let me pour water in it or pee in it? He's like, fuck. He peed in it real quick. Fucking saved me. I'm not going to mention the name. He knows who he is if he watches this. And I owe him a debt of gratitude. And that's how it's like Spartan rules, man. You get caught, you get caught. If you don't, you don't. And like I said, they were trying to get me to rat, like who was supplying, who was this, and I basically made up a bullshit like, oh no, I just approached some dudes and that I live by and said, hey, can you get anything? It's total bullshit. Yeah. It was a bigger conspiracy, I guess. It was a lot more Marines and higher up Marines too. Yeah. But I'm not gonna rat anybody out. So, and everybody was worried I was. And initially they put distance, initially everybody was like, they thought, because I went to the brig and they were just waiting for the hammer to fall. But nothing happened. Because I was like, dude, the fucking NCIS investigator asked me, I bullshitted. And then the head battalion captain was like, tell me where you got it from. And I told him a bullshit story. He's like, well, how did you know these people? I'm like, listen, sir, I grew up in the hood. I know who to talk to about it. It's not a hard thing. But, they're college educated. They think it's just like, oh, menacing, like, oh, And I'm like, no, it's not like that, sir, So, yeah, and I didn't even think about giving anybody up either. That wasn't in my option. So, but after everybody was like, dude, I was like, you're kind of the cool guy. You're like, oh, look, he did the bad, and he just doesn't give a fuck. So, but like I said, I was getting out, and it was almost like basically starting from scratch. Like, you come in with nothing, and then now it's like everything, like I said, I was paying a lot of alimony because she knew the system, and she knew that she could basically fuck me with money-wise, and use that to her advantage, and used her father. Her father had some connects in the military, too. And use that to their advantage. And so I was coming out kind of like with nothing too. So like getting out, I actually moved to my friend in Charleston, where I met my wife. I was staying in Charleston with my buddy and, partying, just living the life. I was out, I could do whatever I want. And then the realization hits was like, well, fuck, I gotta actually do something. These checks are gonna stop. The 1st and 15th are gonna stop. So before I left the military, one of my sergeants told me to, take advantage of the VA, and he kind of thank God for him. He knows who he is too. I'm not gonna mention his name. He was like, hey, this is what you need to do, like, because he knew the situation he knew what I was going through. He's like, you need to do this. Because usually when you're checking out, getting out of the military, it's just like you're in an auditorium with fucking 1,000 other Marines, and there's slide, the VA hospital, here's locations, go see if you need help. Next, checking out, here's some resources, check. It's a brief. It's just quick, and because they got to get through. It's not like detail, like, oh, you got some here. So I went to actually a on base VA where they were like, hey, this is how you got to get your benefits that you're deserving of. And I initially had a problem, because you don't want a handout, but it's just like after a while, it's just like, it's already paid. You might as well just get it because it's there, and I guess you technically earned it. So I did that, and I was supposed to get my VA benefits the day of I got out the military. It still took 2 years to get. It was a real struggle. So when I got out, I moved to Charleston. I stayed, partied a little bit. Then I came back down to Florida, stayed with my brother, basically sleeping on the floor, hanging out with friends. And during that time was the recession, so stuff was very.
How many years post-military was that?
So right when I got out, I did my 4 years, got out, and so this was, I got out early October. I was probably down in Florida in. Yeah, this is 09, so around November, I would say. So just in time for Thanksgiving
Okay.
and stuff. So, but like I said, I'll sleep on my brother's floor. My brother, is having a hard time with employment. His roommate was only one working, so he's sleeping on the couch and I'm sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
So, and I'm waiting to get my VA benefits. And my friend who I knew in high school, who's my current girlfriend, we were actually rekindling our relationship when me and Courtney separated, my ex-wife. So we started rekindling it, and then we broke up while I was in, and then I got out, and then we started talking again and rekindling the relationship. So she was working, and she basically, I moved in. She called me out of the blue, and she was like, all right, why don't you come stay with me? She was working. I wasn't, but I had my VA. I know my VA could come in at any day, and I was, but I wasn't having the issues. I was having issues, with substance abuse, but it wasn't as bad. Like I was drinking still, but I wasn't popping pills like I was, until I started getting money from the VA. The VA initially gave me a little bit per month, but because all my stuff didn't get through. And then slowly, it was like a thing, You start with 1 or 2 oxys a day, or 2, maybe what you last 1 a day, and then it turns to 2 a day,
So
3 a day.
What made you overcome that to this day?
So, like I said, then it became where I got a big chunk of money through the VA for back pay. Thank God I set everything right where I bought a place, I set, everything up, and I had continuous income. And like at the same time, my girlfriend just lost her job. So, but the habit grew then from there. It got worse and worse. I was up to doing 10 oxys a day. And I was like, I got to stop this because it's going to either kill me or I'm going to go to jail. So it became another thing of, do I go to heroin? Because heroin's cheaper. And so you work out that in your mind. That's the step, logical step. That's where everybody goes. And then the pills prices were increasing. They got up to $20, $30 each when they were $8 before. When they were $8, I couldn't afford it. Now think about $30 a pill. So she got pregnant with my first son, and she was like, "I'm going to leave you if you don't do something." So I'm like, okay. So I kind of look online, research, and I found the VA actually did a clinic for Suboxone. And I did that, enrolled, and they seen it all before. And how you had to do therapy, management, and all that other stuff. And they got me on Suboxone, and that really saved my life.
Yeah, and then you just weaned off of that.
And then, because a lot of people went to methadone, but methadone's almost worse than being on oxy because it just stays in your system for so long. The Suboxone, you can't. There's a ceiling effect. You can only take so much before, you can't OD on it.
Yeah.
It's stronger than oxy. It binds better to the receptors in your brain.
Okay.
So it's
Suboxone.
and I started low because I was already weaning myself off, and then when I was in the doctors, I was already in withdrawal. So just one pill just set me good, So I didn't even start high, and that's what got me off that and the therapy and just working with the doctors, and then eventually, it's like with and like with me, get tired of something, I just don't want to do it. So you just get off and. That's when it's a slow process, but I am way better than I was, 10 years ago. I've been, got 2 kids, I'm about to buy a new house, selling my old one, everything's good, I can't complain about that.
That's awesome.
So everything's good. I just try to say it's better to, just kind of give yourself up sometimes. Just let this process take hold.
Because even
don't fight it. With that,
your most traumatic thing, do you think, was the fireworks? That initial time that you heard the fireworks?
Yeah, that was bad. Well, because that was just everything was compounded, and then you don't decompress.
Yeah.
So then everything just kind of explodes. So it was very, and I mean, I still deal with it to this day, but it's it's more a little bit more manageable.
Okay.
You know, with like exercise and, you know, treating your body good. You know, because if you don't feel good, you know, you're not going to think good. It messes you up.
How about your hearing?
Hearing, I have to wear earphones at night because I have that tinnitus where it's like the ringing constantly. It's like deafening. So I have to wear earphones like at night, like with a little bit of music or somebody talking, and it helps a lot. So, but yeah, it's pretty much the hearing. I had a couple other issues, gastrointestinal issues from military. Probably all the painkillers, you know, because that stuff kills your stomach.
Sure.
So I've always had stomach problems, and the post-traumatic stuff, I got diagnosed with that. They actually misdiagnosed me when I was in the military, because after I got in trouble, they sent me to a psychiatrist, and she misdiagnosed me. And then later, the VA said, "Oh, she misdiagnosed you. You actually had post-traumatic stress," because I didn't think I had it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you know, it's just like your fight. How I explain it, and to me, is it's like a fight or flight reaction out of nowhere. You know, you could just be sitting and be like, "Oh, it's your brain telling you to fight something or run away that you don't. There's nothing, but there's nothing there, and stuff can psychologically trigger it."
People say Marines are the pit bulls of the military.
Yeah. That's true. But it's and you know, and that's why the trainings, you know, it definitely helps. You know.
Yeah.
So it's.
Are you glad that you went?
Yeah. I say I want to. I you know, with anything, I miss my friends, I miss the camaraderie. I don't miss the bullshit politics. You know, with anything, especially in the military, there's a lot of, you know, politics and all that. You know, people just trying to look good for, you know, command or whatever, and just doing stuff for doing this to say, you know, the game they call it. I don't miss that, but I miss my buddies. I miss, you know, actually being like in Iraq, doing stuff that you feel like you're there. Do you miss
combat?
Yeah, in a sense. It's like the adrenaline. It's like with anything. It's like you get so hyped up. You know, it's the biggest adrenaline rush. You know, it's like so genetically embedded in you, the fight or flight. You're fighting. It's the biggest high you can get.
You get little cravings.
So yeah, that's like with the pills and the thing. It was, you know, to kind of give it to me.
Yeah.
So I would say yes and no. It's a hard answer. It's not like you miss it. It's like you just think obviously the bad shit and then the good shit that you did.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I miss my friends, but I don't miss the fucking destruction. It's not like if my child was like, I wouldn't want him, because I just know what it would suffer, what you got to bear, emotionally bear.
Did you feel bad leaving there? Just like leaving?
Yeah.
You felt like you were letting them down?
Yeah. When you leave, because when you come back, it's like you're like excited to come home, but then you're like, oh man, I kind of want to go back and
control it.
Yeah, and like do it, you know, do your job.
Yeah.
Because it's like everything's like, it's always like a constant, you know, you're always constantly like on a chain, and we're just like, oh, you gotta wait, you can't go yet, you can't go, and then all of a sudden when you get there, it's like, all right, you're free.
Yeah.
So you get to, you know, actually apply the training and stuff. So, but yeah, they, I don't know, it's a tough answer. It's like, I think you ask any vet, you know, all those guys like World War II, you know, they wish they were back. You know, they were like, oh yeah, I would go back in a heartbeat. And I think so. Yeah, I would do it. I would do it again. It's just, you know, because you do your job, but you know the risks, and it's just, you know, it can be rough when you come, because it's hard to adjust. You know, it's totally two different environments. So.
Well, definitely respect you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me talk to you about it. It's cool, man.
Of course.
All right. Good shit. Now watch the TV. Watch it.
Yeah.